Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 1.
Just 2 days ago, I've seen the screenshot on Twitter. It must be real. The president of Iran, Ibrahim Raisi, he tweeted, "I have information that will lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton." And now, look what's happened. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the nation. Glad to have you with me. The phone number, 877-973-7425. We have breaking news that we've got to get to out of the gate before we get to what I wanted to talk about, and that is Michael Cohen on the stand admitted that he stole $60,000 from the Trump organization. Admits to stealing. They have so undermined his credibility as a witness, the jury has gotten bored and began to tune out the testimony. The cross probably went on longer than it should have. They've already thoroughly discredited him. And now at this point, the prosecution is having to try to rehabilitate the witness. What a mess. All right. We got to start with Joe Biden. I'd like to start with the Iranian president's Kobe moment, but we got to actually start with the president of the United States and his speech to Morehouse College in Atlanta. I want to begin first by talking about a graph. It appeared in the Wall Street Journal, and it is the worst thing you can say about the Biden administration. What this graph shows from the Wall Street Journal is the change in household net worth since the start of the presidency. By the 36th month of Donald Trump's presidency, in the nominal value of household net worth was up about 25%, and about 20% under Joe Biden at the 36th month of the presidency. Now, what the Wall Street Journal has done, though, is adjusted it for inflation. And when you adjust for inflation, household net worth for the Trump administration by the 36th month was up about 15%. For the Biden administration, it's up 1%, but for the starting in the 13th month of the Biden administration, when you adjust for inflation, household net worth declined in real world terms, down 5%. We're only just now in the 36th month of the Biden administration getting above 0% household net worth. That's how bad it is for the Biden administration. It is a damning indictment on the Biden administration that actually people's household net worth went into negative territory. Thus, he's having to revitalize himself with key segments of his constituency, including younger black men. If you will recall last week, I played you the audio from CNN Harry Etten reviewing their polling there, that a large portion of black men under the age of 50 are voting for Donald Trump. It's a significant shift. Now, majority of black voters in America are voting for Joe Biden. The problem is he needs to be pulling 85 to 90% of them, and he's breaking 70%. Just that shift hurts Joe Biden's reelection prospects, and it is one of the major reasons Joe Biden is behind Donald Trump in so many polls. More polling coming out over the weekend showing Donald Trump ahead. He's led pretty consistently since October. So Biden goes to Morehouse College. and it just essentially tells the men of Morehouse that you are victims and democracy doesn't work for you. It's a very uplifting speech he gave to the men of Morehouse College.
Today, you missed your high school graduation. You started college just as George Floyd was murdered, and there was a reckoning on race. It's natural to wonder if democracy you hear about actually works for you. What is democracy? If black men are being killed in the street, what is democracy? The trail of broken promises still leave black communities behind. What is democracy? You have to be 10 times better than anyone else to get a fair shot. And most of all, what does it mean, as we've heard before, to be a black man who loves his country, even if it doesn't love him back in equal measure?
So you're all victims. If you're a black man in America, you're a victim. Democracy works against you. It's kind of amazing that Joe Biden would say that, that essentially democracy works against you. And then Joe Biden says this.
When the Supreme Court told me I couldn't, I found two other ways to do it.
You got that? What is democracy? Democracy works against all of you, and screw democracy. The Supreme Court said I couldn't do something, and so I found a way to get around what the Supreme Court told me I couldn't do. You're trying to have it both ways. It was kind of a wild speech full of lies. He lied to the graduates at Morehouse. In fact, here's one that's been thoroughly debunked even by left-wing fact checkers at PolitiFact.
Today in Georgia, they won't allow water to be available to you while you wait in line to vote in an election. What in the hell is that all about? I'm serious. Think about it.
Think about it. It's a lie. It has actually been thoroughly debunked by major national media outlets that are not exactly aligned with the right. And then he also said this.
I never thought when I was graduating in 1968, as your honoree just was, we talked about, I never thought I'd be a president at a time when there's a national effort to ban books, not to write history, but to erase history. They don't see you in the future of America, but they're wrong. To me, we make history, not erase it.
Now, this is the man who told black voters in 2012 that Mitt Romney would put them back in chains. He has a history of incendiary, racist and racial remarks. He's been caught on film using the N-word, among other things, and yet trying to tell black voters that they've got to vote for him because the other side writes them out of the future of this country. To Kill a Mockingbird, my favorite book. There are school districts around the country that have banned To Kill a Mockingbird, but they've all been progressive districts. The conservative districts that Joe Biden is insisting are banning books are taking pornography out of elementary school libraries, and he thinks that these students graduating from Morehouse are too stupid to know that. The problem is that Joe Biden has failed economically these students, that people's net worth went down under Joe Biden. Joe Biden put black men in prison for life because he authored the three strikes law. I think I've told you guys about this. When I was out in Las Vegas 3 weeks ago, I was at the craps table. It's an older black man who was there. He was the floor manager, whatever you call it, the dealer presiding over the craps table. He knew who I was. I'm on the radio out there, recognized me. I'm on billboards in Las Vegas, I guess. He said I was. I don't know. But he recognized me. Listens on my Odyssey affiliate out there. Said as much. Told me exactly how he listens to me. Listens on the radio on the weekends when he's not at work. He's got that station on, which is interesting because he's a black man, but listens to conservative talk. He said the reason that he's become a conservative during Donald Trump's era, says he voted for Barack Obama. But he can't support Joe Biden because Joe Biden authored the three strikes law. And he had two relatives who went to prison for life because of what Joe Biden did. He says Joe Biden destroyed black men and the black community. That was him. That was the dealer at the craps table. Said Donald Trump authored the First Steps Act, got people out of jail who Joe Biden threw in jail, and he'd be voting for Donald Trump. So this morning, I wrote an ad. Now, this is actually based on a very famous Mexican ad for Vicente Fox. Years ago, when Vicente Fox was running in Mexico against the leading Mexican political party, he did an ad, and I suggested this morning in writing to the Trump campaign that they should do this ad. So you use your mind and visualize this ad. You slowly zoom in a little white house with a chain link fence, a tidy but not necessarily neat yard, aluminum, tin roofing, blocking the crawl space, wooden steps, peeling paint, light blue shutters, light blue porch. And then you see a black fist knock at the door. And then the camera pans out and you see two 20-somethings, tall, skinny, black guy wearing a Free Palestine shirt. And next to him is a purple-haired white girl with a nose ring and a women spelled W-O-M-Y-N power and a raised black or raised red Antifa fist on the shirt. They knock on the door. The door cracks open. It's a middle-aged black man, gray stubble, wearing a white T-shirt. And the young black man identifies himself as Andre, knocking with the Biden administration's at the campaign. He uses he, him pronouns, and he's with his white ally, Xander, who uses she, they pronouns. And they want to make sure, Mr. Johnson, that you're going to be a loyal Democrat and you're going to vote for Joe Biden. You need to vote for Joe Biden. Joe Biden is an ally of the black community and people of color, and Donald Trump is not. Are you going to vote? And Mr. Johnson smiles and says, I've already requested my absentee ballot. And the little white girl gets all excited and giddy and starts hopping. And the young black man pushes some buttons on his iPad, says, thank you, Mr. Johnson, for being on the team on behalf of the Biden-Harris administration. Thank you. And then you see from inside the house, he closes the door and turns around, exhales, has a smile on his face. And then the camera shifts to his wife. She's sitting on a older, worn-out velvet couch. And above her is a giant framed portrait of Donald Trump's mugshot. To the left is a Trump flag, and to the right is a framed picture of Donald Trump being sworn in as president and a Trump 2024 yard sign. And the wife looks at the husband and she says, why did you lie to them? And the husband looks at her with a serious look on his face, says, Joe Biden has been lying to the black community for 50 years. I can lie to him just once. And then it pans back to the wife. And she says, and when Donald Trump was president, we had good jobs. And with Joe Biden as president, we can barely put food on the table and gas in the car. November's not coming the way they think it's going to come. Paid for by Trump 2024. Joe Biden is losing black voters and screaming to them about racism in America and the unfairness in America, particularly when we've already had our first black president. We've now got our first black vice president. We've got Joe Biden, whose campaign claims they've done more for black America than even Barack Obama, the first black president. It doesn't matter when groceries are too expensive and gas is too expensive and people are having to work multiple part-time jobs for the government to pat them on the back and say, congratulations on your full-time work. It's not working. When young black men get out of college and they can't find a good job and they're burdened with the student loans that the good progressives get bailed out by Joe Biden, but the young black men from Morehouse, they're not getting bailed out. They got to go find a job to make money to pay off student loans. In an economy where it's too expensive to buy groceries, it's too expensive to put gas in their car, the Biden administration is trying to force them into urban areas and electric cars that they don't want. They can't live the life they want because of the Biden economy. It's not good enough for Joe Biden to go out and pander to them, screaming racism about the other side when Joe Biden's the racist and has a history of making racist remarks, and wrote the 3 strikes law that saw many of the relatives of these young graduates of Morehouse go to prison for life because of Joe Biden. It's not going to work this time. Joe Biden has been lying to the black community for 50 years, and the polls suggest they're telling the truth. They're not voting for him. That's why he's having to do what he's doing right now.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I am delighted to have you with me. As always, and this is important, text the word data to 33777 and pre-order my book, please. And thank you to all of you who took me up on that on Friday. The book comes out in the next month. It's funny. I'm having to reread it. It's been a while since I put it together. And I'm like, so I'll tell you how I did it in all honesty. I didn't have time to just sit there and write it all out. So my buddy Bill Blankshane, who's co-authored a book with me in the past, he says, here's what we're going to do is twice a week for 2 hours, you're going to narrate your book. And I'm going to transcribe it. And then I'll go back in and put the footnotes into all the stuff that you're referencing. And that's how we did it. So he typed it. I spoke it. He typed it. And then he did the footnoting to put in all the links and stuff. And it sounds very much like I'm talking on radio, which is great. I like a conversational voice. And I'm excited having reread it because it's so timely about what's happening with the left right now. We see it around the country. As the book's title is You Shall Be as Gods. And what I'm trying to do in the book is explain that what we're seeing on the left, you have to understand it. It's not just postmodern Marxism at play here. It is actually a new religion coming out of the ground. It is something new, but it's actually very, very old. All this new religion is the pre-Christian Roman Empire paganism that's rearing its head again. It is Gnosticism, it is paganism, and it is what the wokes are. The rise of the left-wing secular movement is nothing but a very old religion. As Christianity cedes the foreground, this paganism is creeping back in. And it's also got a lot of tips on how you deal with it. What should you do? How should you respond? And I'm excited for you to get it. I really am. I reread it on my trip. And I've just thought, man, Erickson, occasionally you can do something useful. So you can text data to 33777 and get it. Now, you can also go to EdenPureDeals.com and you can get the Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack right now. You save $200. Y'all, I took one of these with me. I keep it in my travel bag. I didn't have to use it in Rhode Island, but I always keep it with me. We'll be going to Las Vegas on Monday, a week from today, taking my daughter on her graduation trip, and I'll have one with me there as well because it wipes out odors. I've used it repeatedly in Las Vegas in the hotel room. Smoke in the air, it can wipe out the odors. In a rental car, you can plug it in with a USB cord. You don't have to plug it directly into the wall, and it just works. You go to EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code ERIC3. It's an odor eliminator, so it gets rid of smoke odors, litter box odors, pet odors, frying odors, musty odors, any of the bad odors. It also traps dust and pollen and things like that because it's an air purifier as well. It just works. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack. You can get 3 of them, one for upstairs, downstairs, your basement, your RV, your travel bag, wherever you need it. They're small. You can hold it in your hand. EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is ERIC3, ERICK3.
Blinds.com Cyber Monday Last Chance is happening now. Don't miss out on up to 45% off site-wide. A Blinds.com design expert can help you make the perfect selection on your schedule. We can handle everything from measure to your whole home installed for one low cost. With over 25 million windows covered, Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. Save up to 45% site-wide, plus a free professional measure right now at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Welcome back. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425. Two Mustangs. All right, sorry, I'm in the middle of having to send my family notes and make sure that they know everything we're doing for next week. So let me just tell you guys, my daughter, as you know, graduated from high school last week, and her birthday was back in August, and she came to my wife and me and she said, for my birthday and graduation, I want a combined gift. Don't want anything fancy for my birthday. Here's what I want. I want to go to Las Vegas after graduation and shoot machine guns in the desert and go to the Grand Canyon. So next week for Memorial Day, we're going to go shoot machine guns in the desert and go to the Grand Canyon. And I am so excited to take my family. I know that there are, in fact, I've got friends of mine who are like, I don't want to take my family to Las Vegas. That's where I want to go have fun with my friends. I am so excited to take my family to go out there to eat at some of the restaurants I love to eat at, to go shoot machine guns, take the helicopter tour to the Grand Canyon. It's just going to be so much fun. It's going to be fun. Okay. Now I gotta move on, and I want to go back to this chart. I mentioned this chart in the first half hour, and it really is one of the most amazing things you can see. And if you see a clip of the show, I've got it displayed for you to be able to see. And what it is a change in household net worth since the start of presidencies. And when adjusted for inflation, for every month that Donald Trump was president of the United States, with the exception of 2 months, the household net worth of Americans went up. And in fact, from the 40th month of the Trump presidency to the 48th month of the Trump presidency, adjusted for inflation, household net worth skyrocketed. Then there's the Biden administration. For starting in about the 13th month of the Biden administration through to now, Americans' net worth has trended negative. It went down and it went up, but it stayed negative territory. It's only now in the 36th month of the Biden administration, adjusted for inflation, has household net worth started to go above zero and into positive territory. In fact, when you look at the Dow Jones, and this is what's so interesting here, the Biden administration has bragged tremendously about, look at the Dow Industrial. Look at the Dow Industrial. Look how well the Dow Jones is. It hit over 40,000. What's notable is that when Donald Trump was president of the United States, Joe Biden's campaign said the measure of family success in the United States is not the Dow Jones Industrial Average, that we should not look at the Dow Jones and see success for households. That's what the Biden team claimed. And now they're bragging. The Dow got over 40,000. Right now, as I'm speaking right now, and just let me timestamp this for those of you listening delay or listen to the best of on the weekend, it is May 20th at 12:39 p.m. and the Dow Jones is at 39,991 points. It's down 12.51. The NASDAQ is at 16,799. The S&P at 5,319. Not bad performance. However, an economist adjusted this for inflation because inflation cuts into everything. If you would adjust, this is from Gary Winarski. Let me give you, and if you're in the show notes, you'll see this. Gary Winarski says if you adjust the Dow 40,000 in nominal dollars for the 19.866% cumulative inflation since Biden took office, the Dow in real dollar terms is at 32,054. The Dow closed at 31,188 on January 20th, 2021. When you add in the inflationary effect of Biden's policies, the Dow has actually only risen 2.78 cumulative percent over 3 1/3 years. By the way, Gary's not wrong. Gary's not wrong. It's remarkable data, and it reflects people's concerns about the economy. It reflects that even though the Democrats brag about people's paychecks growing and the like, people don't feel it, and people know it's a lie, and people kind of get mad about it. Gretchen Whitmer introduced Joe Biden. He went from Morehouse College in Atlanta. He was there for 2 days in Atlanta, hanging out, doing events. He went up to Michigan, and he did an event for the NAACP in Michigan, among others. And Gretchen Whitmer introduced him, and she said this:
"Our economy and people's paychecks are growing, and our nation is headed in the right direction thanks to his work."
That's not true at all. Inflation is eating into people's paychecks. People have had a negative growth in net worth. In other words, their net worth has declined as Biden has been president. And they can't be truthful about it. In fact, it's gotten so bad, actually, the New York Times has decided to go to war with the 401k. I was actually kind of stunned to see this piece. Now, it's from a week or so ago, and they pushed it out yesterday as one of their, I do subscribe to the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and the Washington Post, and a bunch of other outlets. It's part of show prep. And so I get their alerts to my phone, their breaking news alerts. And over the weekend, what the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times tend to do, and Bloomberg and others, is they push out pieces you might not have seen in the last week or so. So this is actually from May 8th. Michael Steinberg, a contributing writer for the New York Times Magazine. The New York Times is going to war against the 401k. The 401k is great for the wealthy. It's great for the upper middle class, but it's terrible for everyone else. Because people can't really save that much. Poor people, when they're trying to save, they're not saving as much, and we need something else. What they're doing is a 3-card Monty to distract you. A 3-card Monty, put the ball under the 3 cups, move them fast, and see which one. It's a shell game. It's a game of chance, and you're betting against the house. Oftentimes it's a scam. With a sleight of hand, they've moved the ball out and it's not under any of the cups. What they're doing here is distracting you from Social Security. It's actually kind of funny. Let me read for you this. A former high school teacher, Forbes, says she has around $200,000 in total savings. She earns a high 5-figure salary and contributes 9% of it to 401k. She has through her employer. The company has a matching contribution that's equivalent to 5%. A widely accepted rule of thumb among personal finance experts is your retirement income needs to be close to 80% of what you earn before retiring if you hope to maintain your lifestyle. Forbes figures that she can retire comfortably on around $1 million, although if her house is paid off, she might be able to get by with less. She's not factoring Social Security benefits into her calculation. Of course not. People in lower income brackets may have also made money from 401ks, but it's hardly enough to retire on with Social Security. Well, of course. It's really remarkable here that the left has gone to war with the 401k and has ignored Social Security. Social Security was supposed to be the social safety net. And now they think the 401k isn't doing enough. Why do, and what does the 401k do? The 401k is you and your employer investing in the private businesses of America. The government, through the Social Security program, takes IOUs and funds government programs and doesn't actually squirrel the money away and give you a good rate of return. And so they're mad that you and your employer aren't doing enough to help you retire, and they're not saying anything about Social Security, a fundamentally broken system. So over the weekend, I was given a speech. And one of my bases for the speech was an article from 2003. And you know, I told these folks this weekend, I was a political activist in the 90s for the Republican Party. I worked as a college Republican. I got Republicans elected, and I really saw myself as a conservative before I was a Republican. There was a defining piece in the Wall Street Journal in 2003, and it really got me where I really philosophically needed to recognize I'm a conservative before I'm a Republican. And it was a Fred Barnes piece defending George Bush in 2003, where he says, you know, Bush is concerned people don't see him as a conservative. He shouldn't be concerned. He just happens to be a big government conservative. He wants to use big government for conservative ends. And that was my moment where I realized, yeah, this isn't possible. You can't use big government for conservative ends. You have to gut government and get it out of the way of people for people to be able to live. Fred Barnes tried to defend George Bush seeing government as a partner for people, as opposed to Ronald Reagan, who saw government as an obstacle to people's freedom. Reagan was right. Bush was wrong. But where Bush was right is in 2005, Bush said, you know what, we need to scrap Social Security for people under 40 and allow them to invest in the market for their growth. Take what we're doing for Social Security, but put it into the market and allow people to grow their retirement themselves instead of putting it into a Social Security trust fund where the money is squandered by the government. And Bush was right. And now, all these years later, 20 years later, even Democrats are thinking, if we'd only listened to George W. Bush and his privatization of Social Security plan, we wouldn't be in the mess we're in. Bush had plenty of faults, but on this he was right. And now the left wants to undermine your retirement plan with your business because it's not getting the poor and the middle class the rate of return they need, and pay no attention to Social Security, the money that comes out of your paycheck by government force to help cover your retirement. And they're not upset about that. They're not upset about the government failing. They're upset about your business not giving you more money. The whole economic scheme of the left is broken. Measuring the Dow Jones as a measure of relief. Biden calls it great news for American retirement accounts and the strength of the economy. The Dow's hit 40,000. But actually, when you look at Donald Trump's tenure in office, with the exception of what happened during the pandemic, Donald Trump's stock market outperformed Joe Biden's stock market. Adjusted for inflation, Donald Trump's stock market performed even better. Real world household net worth, adjusted for inflation, was better during Trump's time in office. The metrics are there. The metrics are true. And this is why Joe Biden, despite all of his screaming about Donald Trump coming back to office and what a threat to democracy would be, the actual real world issue is that when Donald Trump was president, the economy was better. Even the Dow Jones actually has this story out. In grocery stores, a Benjamin isn't what it used to be. That is groceries and the prices of groceries. Let me give you some of the data. The Wall Street Journal reflects a selection of commonly purchased items that were valued at a total of $100 in 2019. Today, the same grocery list costs 36.5% more. The price of some items, such as eggs and sports drinks, climb more than 40%. Shoppers would have to remove $37 of items to spend the same amount they did in 2019. The pace of food inflation in grocery stores has slowed dramatically over the past year, but groceries are still way more expensive. Just because the price increases have slowed does not mean they've gone down. Cooking oil is up 54%. Beef is up 57%. Fruit snacks are up 77%. Mayonnaise is up 50%. Applesauce is up 51%. It's remarkable. And the Biden team can't understand why they're losing to Donald Trump? Well, again, I say like a broken record, it's the economy, stupid. That's the truth. And they seem to think if they just scream about threats to democracy, you know what? Donald Trump may be a threat to democracy, and I don't necessarily agree with that, but Joe Biden, you are a threat to people's bottom line. Now the left is threatening the Electoral College because they think that they know better than the framers of this country. My friends at Hillsdale College want you to take their national survey on presidential selection. Your opinion on this is critical to dealing with people's views on the Electoral College. If you go to ericforhillsdale.com, you can take Hillsdale's national survey on presidential selection. The practical effect of abolishing the Electoral College would be to get rid of swing states and just have everybody focus on the major population centers in the country. There would be no swing states. Everyone would just focus on the big cities. Left-wing control and left-wing governments could kind of dominate the agenda if we got rid of the Electoral College, but is there interest from the right? Hillsdale College wants to know. If you go to ericforhillsdale.com today, take the national survey on presidential selection from Hillsdale College. Spend a few minutes of your time taking the national survey on presidential selection, answer Hillsdale's questions on the Electoral College and your view of it and your view of these efforts to get rid of the Electoral College in the United States. It definitely, if the left succeeds in this, would shape how we vote for president of the United States. So take the important national survey on presidential selection with Hillsdale College. Go to ericforhillsdale.com today. ericforhillsdale.com.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
This hour of the program is brought to you by First Liberty Building and Loan wherever you are nationwide. If you need loans for equipment or you're buying a building or a franchise, things like that, you need $250,000 or more, First Liberty can help you. They make their own decisions. They have since the 90s. They can do quick turnaround, and they're good people. They want to help your business grow. Reach out to them, firstlibertyga.com. Tell them I sent you, firstlibertyga.com. Great people, great company. And great to work with. You know, it's nice to have a company where the lender that you deal with all the time doesn't change constantly. Same folks been there since the 90s. FirstLibertyGA.com. There was a bizarre moment in one of Joe Biden's speeches, this one in Michigan, where he made a very, very interesting claim. And keep in mind, Joe Biden was working from a teleprompter and yet still managed to say this.
And when I was vice president, things were kind of bad during the pandemic. And what happened was, Barack said to me, go to Detroit and help fix it. Well, poor mayor, he spent more time with me than he ever thought he was going to have to. God love you.
Joe Biden says during the pandemic, the president, who at the time would have been Donald Trump, not Barack Obama, sent Joe Biden to Detroit to help fix the city and shakes hands with the mayor. Y'all, Joe Biden had a teleprompter at his NAACP speech in Michigan and still manages to make the claim that he was vice president during the pandemic, which happened when Donald Trump was president of the United States. The man is not in his right mind. He's not in his right mind. You can do all sorts of whatabouts about Donald Trump or anyone else, but this is the sitting president of the United States of America who continues to make wild claims. And his wildest claim of late is that he was vice president during the pandemic and the president sent him to Detroit to save the city. That's not revisionism. That's lunacy and possibly dementia from the president of the United States. When we come back, the Mossad agent who killed the Iranian president